Shabbat Shalom. We welcome you to the Lerman Chapel at Temple Ohev Sholom. I'm Rabbi Kessler. I'm with our accompanist and musical director, Prestia, and we are here to welcome Shabbat for you and to have our service together. Remember, if there's anything you need from me, send me an email, please, rabbi@ohevsholom.org, or call my cell phone, 717-460-6444. Let's begin by taking a cleansing breath and letting go of any of the aggravation of the past week. And turn to page 120 as we light our Shabbat candles. Continue on page 125. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished? Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time, contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Shalom Aleichem is on page 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi-Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh, Baruch Hu, Bochem L'Shalom, Machalifet hazmanim u'misaderet ha'kochavim b'mishmarotehem barakia kirtzono borei yom v'layla kol eror mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or u'ma'avir yom u'mevi layla u'mavdil ben yom u'vein layla Adonai Tsevaot Shemo El Chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed Baruch Ata Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. Page 266. In each age we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment we are addressed by the world. In each age we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment we stand face to face with truth. In each age we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment the knowing heart is filled with wonder. In each age the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Shema, page 267. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta, page 268. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meyodecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta ba'am Beshiftecha bevetecha uvlechtecha vaderech uvshachbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yedecha vayu letotafot beinenecha uktavtam al mezuzot betecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai Vitem Kedoshim Lelohechem, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher Hotzeiti Etchem Me'eretz Mitzrayim, Lihiot Lachem Lelohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 269. We worship the power that unites the universe, promise of harmony for all. Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound. Before our eyes there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness. There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul. When will redemption come? When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves. Long ago we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High. We learned God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom. Michamocha, page 270. Page 271. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, Al Yerushalayim. V'Shamru, page 272. Tefillah is on page 273.
Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיח ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, Ha'el HaKadosh. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. If you have your prayer book, let's turn to page 278, and let's recite this together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Shalom Rav, page 282. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon
Shabbat Shalom. One of the reasons that many of us do not appreciate the Torah is that the Torah was given to people who lived in the midst of nature, and we live far removed from nature. And therefore, we simply do not comprehend many of the laws and many of the metaphors and images that are found in the Torah. For example, we buy our meat in the butcher shop. How can we relate to the laws of the Torah in which animals are permitted to be eaten or forbidden, when we really have never seen many of these animals? We buy our fruit in the grocery store. How can we relate to the laws about the first fruits and harvests, we who have never experienced a harvest? How can we relate to the laws about hunting when many of us have never hunted even once in our lives? Let me give you one sample today of a law that is hard for us to relate to simply because we're not connected to nature. The Torah says in this week's Parsha, "If along the road you chance upon a bird's nest in any tree or on the ground, with fledglings or eggs, and the mother sitting over the fledglings or on the eggs, do not take the mother together with her young. Let the mother go and take only the young." Now I ask you in all seriousness, when was the last time that you came across a bird's nest while you were traveling on the road? I don't think I ever have. First of all, I usually drive. I hardly ever walk along the road. And I drive much too fast to notice any of the birds that may be perched along the way. And I'm not the kind of person who goes hunting for birds or for eggs. I just don't. If I wanted a bird, I'd go to a pet shop and buy one. I wouldn't go out and try and pick one up on the road. And so this is one of the 613 commandments that I confess I've never observed. This law that tells us to drive away the mother bird before taking the young birds or the eggs is one that farmers can relate to, not people who live in the city like you and me. There's a rabbi in Los Angeles by the name of Stephen Leader who once wrote about this passage as it relates to his own mother. He wrote her a letter one Mother's Day to thank her for everything that she did in raising him. In his letter, he pointed out to her some amazing statistics of what she had done for him and his siblings. He figured out that if she changed diapers 6 times a day for 2.5 years per child, she probably changed 27,375 diapers in her life. He figured out that she probably made over 150 trips to the pediatrician, not to mention the dermatologist, allergist, and, oh yes, the orthodontist. He figured out that if she only prepared 2 meals a day, and if she only did it 6 days a week for each of the years that her children lived at home, she probably served 183,960 plates of food, not counting the lunches she packed for school. These are pretty impressive figures, are they not? Even if you don't count bedtime stories and encouragement and help in achieving self-confidence and all the other intangible things that our mothers do for us, just these figures by themselves should make us feel pretty indebted. Though I guess it is only when we grow up and have children of our own that we really begin to have any idea of how hard it is to be a parent and how much our parents did for us. And then Rabbi Leader writes that now he understands a law of the Torah that he never really thought about before. The Torah forbids us to separate a baby animal or a young bird from its mother too soon. And that that is even though animals mature fairly quickly and can get along without their parents in a fairly short time. And if this is true for animals and for birds, then how much more is it true for human beings? Humans who take so many more years than animals or birds before they become truly independent. And he says, I know that none of us can hold on to our parents forever, but it seems to me that the truly lost and lonely in this nervous, unkind world of ours, the shattered and the hopeless among us, that gets in the way because they never had what mothers or fathers managed to give their children: certainty, warmth, and the breath of unfailing love. So according to Rabbi Leder, the reason for this law is to teach us that if animals and birds can get along without their mothers fairly soon, and yet the Torah tries not to break the bond between them too hastily, then certainly the bond between parents and their children should not be broken too soon for us. For if that happens, disastrous results must follow. Why is this such an important lesson? It may be because we are so removed from nature that we would never consider the feelings of animals if we didn't study the Torah. We who think that bread comes from the bakery and have never seen a mill, much less a stalk of wheat. We who think that wine comes from the store and have never seen the process by which grapes are raised and then harvested and turned into wine. We who travel on highways and walk on asphalt and therefore have so little contact with nature, we need to hear these stories about what birds and animals do, for otherwise how would we know? And if we don't know how animals and birds live, how will we understand the laws of the Torah about how we are to treat them? It may be an important lesson also because of what it teaches us about ourselves as well as what it teaches us about other creatures of God. If love and care and devotion to their young are built into the nature of birds and animals, then surely it must be built into human nature as well. And therefore we should appreciate and revere and be grateful for the care that we have received. The human being is unique in the animal world. We take longer before we're able to stand and walk and talk than do any other creatures in nature. A young lion cub or a young bird does not need its mother for nearly as long as a human child does. We are born completely helpless, completely dependent, and therefore the lesson that we can learn from this passage is not only to show compassion to the mothers of young birds and the parents of young cubs, but to show gratitude to our own parents who do so much for us so we may live. And we take this lesson to heart and we say, Amen. And now we pause for the Mishaberach prayer, which is on page 371. So we ask God's blessings on those in our communities who are sick and in need of healing. We ask God's blessings for the caregivers in our midst and those who are risking their own lives in order to care for us. May God bring healing to us all. And we say together, Baruch atah Adonai rofeh hacholim. We praise you, Adonai, our God, who heals the sick. And we all say, Amen. And now for something that you haven't heard probably since March. A few announcements for us. This Sunday, on the 30th of August, is when we pick up our prayer books for High Holidays. We ask that you go over the sheet that you received in the mail that explains about the different groups and when you're supposed to come. We ask that you bring a mask, and we ask that if you have any questions at all, please go to the temple website. Please don't call the rabbi. I'm a little busy with Chris doing the recordings for High Holidays, and Michelle Dar is unbelievably busy in the office. So if you have questions, go to the temple website, which is ohevsholom.org. The other announcement is if you go to the website, you will learn about a sisterhood event that is taking place virtually this Sunday morning, featuring Tamsin Wolf, a former member of our congregation who helped design our Torah covers. Again, for more information, check the temple's website. And now let's continue with Aleinu on page 586. Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adonai kol ha'tekenu le'otzeh breshit shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot v'lo samanu kemishpachot ha'adamah shelo samchelchinu kahem v'gor the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yomad yivrach cheruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayedecho beit Yisrael, V'agalav izman kariv v'yimaru amen. Yehesh shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'mei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei kudsho v'richu. Le'elam nidkol birchata v'shirata. Tushpachata v'nechemata. Ta'amiran v'yama v'yimaru amen. Yehesh shlomo Rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all of us who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved, and we say, Amen. Our closing hymn is Adon Olam, and it is on page 625.
Ve'hu
Eloheinu, our God and God of our mothers and fathers, grant us a Shabbat filled with rest and joy. Grant us a week ahead filled with good health and with peace. May we all take care of each other in every way that we need, be cognizant of the needs of those we love, and may we share that love with the rest of the world. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.